It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
I want to talk to you about a man who has lived many lives and gone by many names. We first saw him in Hawaii as Neil Forrester. He went to the movies as both Tom Baxter and Gil Shepard. He was on the radio as Biff Baxter. He spent time as Ross Jennings squashing spiders. In 1994, he appeared as two different guys who were both named Harry. One helping his buddy find love, the other one who shouldn't have gone into the house. He was Roger chasing spotted dogs, Tim O'Hara meeting a Martian, John Scully wondering why people think he fired someone, and Will McAvoy telling people that America isn't the greatest country in the world. But the name we celebrate today is Jeff Daniels, as today, February 19th, 2022, is his birthday. All of us at The Next Reel hope he's having a fantastic day as we welcome all of you to Saturday Matinee. My name is Kyle Olson. I'm in the host chair for tonight's show. Joining me is a voice we've missed hearing. Making his triumphant return to Saturday Matinee is Ocean.
Hello, Kyle and Jay. It took me a minute to figure out the house that he shouldn't go into, and then I realized that that's a Speed reference. And so,
that's right.
Yes, and so that was amazing. That was great. So anyway, so yeah, as you can tell, I'm excited to be back and in celebration of Jeff Daniels.
And making his second appearance on the show, now divested of his lesser half, big welcome to Jay Shepard.
Thank you very much. I was afraid I was on the wrong show here for a second. I wasn't sure where we were going with all that, but that's pretty cool.
The fun part of being the host is you get to decide how you want to open the show.
Yes.
I decided to give you a tribute to Jeff.
Well, now I just want to talk about Speed.
I guess that's right. So my first question is, I know we haven't seen you for a while, so I'm going to say to you first, what have you been watching?
Well, I just finished the book of Boba Fett. And basically when it comes to the book of Boba Fett, here's the thing that I've been wondering, questioning, and struggling with. So what I'm struggling with is that I liked the book of Boba Fett, but I didn't love it. And reading some of the reactions online, I find that I'm not in a vacuum here. So I'm kind of glad I'm not on an island there where it's not. And I don't want to preface everything with, I think it's a good show. I just didn't think that it was the great show that I thought it would be. And I don't really consider myself a Star Wars fan. I consider myself someone who likes Star Wars stuff, right? Well, because I think that the word fan, when it comes to Star Wars, there's an extra gear that I don't quite get to, right? I get to where my love of Star Wars would be considered a fan in most universes, but once you start comparing me to Star Wars fans, I'm nothing compared to those.
It is a galaxy unto itself.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
So, but here's what I think my issue is, and I was wondering if either one of you have thought about this, think this, or have any reactions to it. So, in the original trilogy, Boba Fett is on screen for roughly 5 minutes, all right? And he's like all children of that time, when I saw him on screen, I of course thought he was the coolest bounty hunter in the galaxy. He was awesome. He was amazing. And so over what turns out now to be decades, he's been built up in all of our heads, right? And he's been built up as that cool bounty hunter. He's going to be awesome. He's going to be ruthless. He's going to kill people just because they looked at him the wrong way. Just all the stuff that you'd want to have. And the struggle that I'm having with this is the show itself, as it is presented, is less of a bounty hunter type show, but more of a half. Let's talk about what happened to him when he got out of the Sarlacc pit and growth as a human, and half political intrigue. And while these things are not bad things, they're not really what was in your head or what you were kind of going for when you thought you were going to get Boba Fett. And then they juxtapose it with The Mandalorian, which The Mandalorian that's Boba Fett, right? That's what what he's doing and how he's acting and the things that he does is kind of what I had in my head with Boba Fett. And so I found that I'm struggling with the understanding and the reasoning behind, it seems to me that what they did was they created this really cool character of the Mandalorian, and then said, okay, now we're going to bring you the original Boba Fett, which is now a lesser version of it. So much so that, what was it, episode 6 is basically the Mandalorian season 3 premiere. that they have an entire episode where he's not in it. And that was really where I first started realizing that maybe that's where my struggle is that they created another character that was too cool, because the entire episode, Boba Fett's not in it. And at no point in time did I say, well, where's Boba Fett? And so I was just curious if this is something that you've seen as well, or you thought of as well, that they seem to have created Boba Fett, but called him Din Djarin. And then now with this new Boba Fett, it's, I don't know, like Growing Pains mixed with the West Wing or something in there, it's a very different show.
I know Jay's Star Wars fandom runs deep, so I know I'm going to let him take first crack at this.
I was invited on Matthew Fox's show to do the episode 6, actually. And much like the Star Trek films, I only liked the even episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, which means that
interesting.
I was not a huge fan of the finale. It just didn't. It was cool. It had a bunch of cool stuff going on it, but it didn't resonate with me. And Ocean, I think I have a lot of the same ideas that you do, that what they were trying to do with Boba Fett in this just did not work because they had introduced the Mandalorian to us. But also, I've had, like Kyle said, my Star Wars fandom runs deep, and I attend Star Wars celebrations. I work on a Star Wars website, and I have a podcast about Star Wars literature.
Well, then I'm glad I'm with two Star Wars fans. So, as the non-Star Wars fan, please tell me.
But this is outside of just, I think, fandom in general. This is kind of indicative of what is going on, I think, just in a lot of fandoms in 21st century and even at the end of the 20th century, is that fans like things so much and they take ownership of those ideas that they like, and they write their own stories. You see Boba Fett and you go, okay, so this is like the Man with No Name from Clint Eastwood movies, The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. But, what else has he done? And then you get invested in these stories you've either told yourself or you've read in comics and other things that are not canonical. And then when the creators choose to do things that don't match what you've got, there's this very visceral emotional reaction that I'm going to say quote unquote fans have back towards the property, and it swings wildly. And, I think that emotion swings on all sorts of levels, from political to social to entertainment right now. And, I can enjoy, I have been a Star Wars fan for, I don't know, 38 years plus or something like that. And I haven't gone through therapy for it, but I have divorced myself from certain aspects of fandom. I can watch and rewatch and enjoy things for what they are, knowing that, it may not be for me. I really enjoy the Clone Wars. I really enjoy the Bad Batch. I was not a huge fan of the sequels, and I like the sequels that nobody else likes, so
big Last Jedi fan.
There's a lot of that going on. And so I don't think you should feel that your lack of enjoyment on whatever level you think you should be enjoying this on because it is branded as Star Wars. If it's not for you, there's a whole bunch of other stuff out there, and Mandalorian will be coming back. We're getting Ahsoka. We've got Obi-Wan coming up. It's fine. They took this character in a direction I don't think a lot of people would have taken it, and okay, that's what they want to do with it. That's okay, cool.
Yeah. So let me try and navigate the middle path between the two things of like expectations.
Okay, Qui-Gon.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like I'm going to be a gray Jedi because nobody's ever thought of that before. So my problem with it was not expectations or like that I have a deep love for Boba Fett and then betrayed everything that I held dear. It's that I feel like the show was put together very badly. Like I like for people who had done what I think is a really, really solid job of telling their story for The Mandalorian 2 seasons to show like we're doing television, we're doing Star Wars on television, which is something we didn't know if it would work or not, outside of an animated series, live action, in canon, all that stuff. And they showed really, really strong storytelling skills, and then seemingly abandoned them for this, because I feel like just the way it was actually physically put together in terms of like, now here's Boba Fett, now another flashback, and now Boba Fett, another flashback, and it's just like every time they would do that, it just killed the pace. So it constantly like okay, what story am I supposed to be invested in? Like Boba now, Boba as when he was living with the Tusken Raiders, Boba escaping from the Sarlacc, like okay, I understand you somehow feel the need to answer every single question we would have had from when Boba showed up in Mandalorian till now. I don't think you needed to, but I get that impulse. But Boba Fett's always been the man of mystery. Why are you telling us everything?
Joy.
Yeah, I think that they're trying to, at least I felt that I understood that his motivation seems to be that he wants to be the benevolent crime boss. And that's what he's kind of going for. I also very much enjoyed the episode when he was with the Tuskens. I thought that was a great episode of growth. But then when they then flash forward, it's like, well, it explains a few things here and there, but it's still, it doesn't resonate or connect the same way as The Mandalorian does. And so I was, so I think that they, and if they want to go that direction with it, that he's the benevolent crime boss, fine. But then I think that they probably need to then make sure they don't bring the Mandalorian back, because once Din Djarin shows up, I just want to hang out with Din Djarin and Grogu, and I will give them credit for, I was impressed with them fixing Luke Skywalker taking Grogu, because once he goes with them, you're like, my first thought was, wait a minute, how come this never came up before now? And so the fact that Grogu chose the chainmail, which I thought was kind of baller of him, that he's like, no, I'm gonna take
was
the chainmail.
Was there a question though? I mean, the fact that I had no doubt that that's how it was going to go for a number of reasons, and I also thought Luke looked a little bit better, but there, obviously there were still some issues, and I thought he was being a complete jerk to actually put that choice in front of his Padawan, but we know what how his story unfolds over the next 30 years, so. It's totally in line with what his character is supposed to be doing,
and knowing there's going to be a season 3 of Mandalorian, Grogu's going to be back just by the rules of narrative storytelling. Like you've established Lone Wolf and Cub, you've established those two things. You can't change that, or else people will be like, "But where's Grogu?"
Well, and they make the big deal that
Yoda away.
Yeah, his ship has the little pod in it. It's like, of course, yeah.
So as a wrap up, I'll give the final word to Rob, because as we were talking about this, Rob said this show should have been called the Tales of Tatooine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's absolutely true. If they had it, instead of like saying it's all about Boba Fett and having it not all be about Boba Fett, if they were just like, here's a bunch of stories that are happening around the same time, and we're just checking in on various characters, that makes it more exciting, because you don't know who's going to be in or what's going on.
What are you going to get this week?
Right, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then when you just, like you say, when the Mandalorian suddenly crashes in and takes over an entire episode, you wouldn't feel quite so like, hey, but the book it's called Book of Boba Fett. Where's the lead character?
And my problem is I never had that reaction when the Mandalorian showed up. I was like,
you're like, oh, cool. Thank goodness, the guy I like is here.
Let's roll with this.
So Jay, aside from the Book of Boba Fett, what have you been watching over the last?
I just finished up Peacemaker and Reacher.
Yes. Oh yeah. I finished up both those too. Two angry white dudes, but very different ways of telling those stories.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Reacher was one of those things where it's like, I had heard some buzz that was really good, and I had enjoyed the films with Tom Cruise. Okay, they're moderate action films, and I didn't want to start another series because I do like all the superhero series. I do all the Star Wars series. I've got a lot on my plate. Better Call Saul is about to come back. A number of shows are about to come back. And so we had nothing left to watch. Well, we had tons of stuff to watch, but we had kind of finished up stuff and things were on hiatus. And so we watched one episode the other weekend, and then we just swallowed the whole series in like 4 days or something. And I was shocked. Alan Ritchins did a great job in that. I liked him okay, having seen him previously in Titans, and I know he's done some other stuff before then, but
That's where I knew him from too.
dude put on like 30 extra pounds of muscle, and it's a really intense sort of John Wick-esque action motif to it, and it doesn't really pull any punches, no pun intended. So yeah, it's kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum from Peacemaker, which is a little more tongue in cheek, but also, intense in its own way.
Yeah, I had the same reaction with Reacher too. I got it, and I basically came to the same place as you. Like, I knew him from Titans, and I read some of the books, and I'd seen the Tom Cruise movies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I had an affection for Reacher, but I wasn't like going at it. My wife refuses to watch that show because of how big of a Reacher fan she is. She's like, he's not old enough. He's too handsome. I was like, when has anyone ever complained about that? But okay. But I watched it, and the same thing. It pushed everything away from me. Like, as soon as I was so hooked about the mystery and getting into it that I moved everything away just so I could get through all 8 of those episodes.
And I didn't know, who's going to die, who's going to live, how's the format going to work. So yeah.
Yeah, I binged the whole season of Reacher in 2 days as well. My wife and I just powered through them. It was great. I've only read one of the Jack Reacher books, and it turned out to be the one for that season. So there was some pieces of it that I didn't remember every little detail, but there was broad strokes that I remember it, and then it actually altered the viewing experience, because every now and again, how you're watching a show with your wife, and they start saying, "Do you think this is going to happen?" And then I got to go, "Well, this is what I think, but I don't know if it's what I think or if it's what I remember. So I'm not going to say anything now because I don't want to ruin it."
Yeah, we didn't know. Neither of us had read the story, and I kept making guesses, just based on action formula kind of stuff. So that was fun.
Yeah, it was very enjoyable.
I think that they did a good job of sort of keeping you guessing, though, even though it's established material, that you sort of like, there's the main bad guy, and then suddenly he's dead, and you're like, hey, well, you take me in a new direction, and it makes you like, what happens now? What happens next? What's the next episode?
Well, I actually like the freedom of the formula. Given that Jack Reacher is a nomad, effectively you can kill anybody, because except for him, you would expect none of the actors are coming back for the next season. So anybody, and so no one is really truly safe, as you would be in normal storytelling, where where you would expect, when they do season 2, this character need to still be there. So season 2 of Reacher, he'll be in some whole other town, whole other group of people. He won't talk to any of them.
I want to, and I like that fact that they can kind of go in different directions for each season, but potentially still he can call up, someone from the first season, kind of like he brought in, he had a special ops friend that he brought in for this. So there's something that person could show up again.
Die Hard 2 when he calls up Al.
Yeah. What is the facts? How does this work?
What's the technology? So, and since you brought up really the 2 shows that I was into as well, I don't think I'm at the end of Peacemaker yet. I'm only at episode 7. So if they had an episode 8 that I missed,
that just came out. Well, I mean, obviously today is Saturday.
Yeah, so
it just came out on Thursday.
Okay, so I haven't seen the final episode yet, and I enjoyed it. I found that with Peacemaker, though, and my impression of it was much more of a, like, when I thought about recommending it to other people, I felt that you kind of had already won it.
Yeah.
And because it takes a couple episodes for you to kind of figure out what show they're doing. And so once you figure it out and you're there and you get it, you're good, you go, right? And then I think that any show that is like that, I will always recommend with, well, if you want to see this, then you should watch it. It will be good. But if you're on the fence or you're not sure, to me, it's too much of a time commitment, because by episode 4, you'll know. And if and if I have to, and I know for me, if I'm on the fence about a thing, if I have to watch 4 hours of it to find out if it's any good, forget it. So but I personally loved it. I thought Peacemaker was great.
Yeah. The ringing endorsement that I gave on our Superhero Suite show was that I was going to watch the show regardless, because I'm a huge fan of James Gunn's work, and had been before he had done any Guardians of the Galaxy or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And I knew I was going to like the ensemble cast that he had set up, but I was not a fan of John Cena's character from Suicide Squad.
Right.
Peacemaker is just kind of a weird character in the comics anyway, and I just was not a fan of him. And I think that's the point. You're supposed to come out of Suicide Squad going, this guy is a piece of crap.
Yeah, of all the characters, this one's the one you want.
Exactly, that was what I was saying. But my endorsement is probably by the second or by the end of the second or the third episode, I was saying, damn it, Gunn, you're making me care about this character that I really don't like. And he has a complete story and a full arc through this season. And I'm like, all right, bring on the second season now, because I want to see what this guy does. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, with Reacher and with Peacemaker, I really like how there is much more of a sense of authorship, where, like, with Peacemaker, it was James Gunn by himself, right? No one asked him to write this. Like, he sat by himself and then came to HBO Max and said, hey, by the way, here's 8 episodes, and just delivered the scripts to them. Like, they had no idea. So obviously, I'm sure there was collaboration and notes and stuff too, but you really felt him present in it much more than you have in a lot of television shows, which sort of end up getting, sort of death by committee. They by the time they get to us, they're very sanitized and watered down. And I felt that with Reacher as well, that there was much more of a sense of like unfortunately, I did not do my homework enough to know what the main writer who ran the show was. But
he wrote the books.
Wrote the books, exactly. But like whoever was running the show, I really felt like there was a strong guiding hand there too, because a lot of times when these shows come out, they're from episode to episode are wild all over the map, like characters inconsistent in the way they speak and everything like that. But with Reacher, it felt like one story, just like Peacemaker felt like one story. And I really enjoyed that, because it's kind of rare in the way that television is right now, especially with adaptation. But that's enough about television. Let's switch over to movies, because we have some trailers we can talk about. So let's see. I believe that Jay, you got in there first with the trailer. I think all 3 of us would have gotten if we had gotten in there first. So tell us about your trailer and why you picked it.
Yeah, I had another trailer. I think one that one of you had picked, and it was because when it came out, I wanted to talk about that, and I hadn't even thought about, I wonder what new trailers are going to pop up from the Super Bowl. And of course, it is everyone's favorite magician, not Doug Henning, but Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
I did what I had to do to protect our world.
You cannot control everything, Strange. You opened the doorway between universes, and we don't know who or what will walk through it.
Wanda, what do you know about the multiverse?
Viz had his theories. He believed it was dangerous.
He was right.
I'm sorry, Stephen. Your desecration of reality will not go unpunished.
We should tell him the truth.
I was a huge fan of the first film. Doctor Strange is, I think, a really cool character. I had actually dressed up as him for my office costume parade that we did the year before the movie came out, and everyone's like, unless people knew who Doctor Strange was, it was a kind of a comic accurate costume. People were like, who the heck are you? And of course, a year later, they were like, oh, is this who you were last year? And I'm like, yeah. And I didn't win.
How many people picked
nobody knew who I was.
Yeah, how many people picked Dracula?
Yeah. But this is, I'm very invested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm a huge fan of Sam Raimi. We go back all the way. I've been watching his films since he was doing Evil Dead and writing Crime Wave with the Coen brothers. And this looks bat crazy. It has just got so much stuff. And I feel like, they're kind of rewarding fans for keeping up, watching the Loki show, watching the WandaVision show. What did you pick up from the Spider-Man No Way Home movie. Well, wink, wink. There's some stuff coming if you're paying attention to the trailer or, you know, listening closely to voices that appear in the trailer. I don't want to break anybody's brain by spoiling anything here, but yeah, it was amazing. And I'm looking so forward to just the next, you know, all the Marvel movies that are coming out. They're really speaking to me, and they're all different, and they're not, you know, I'm not getting to the point where I'm like, oh, are we doing this again? Because everything is just, every film's a different genre, even in the same franchise. You know, the Thor films are all different. The Captain America films are all different, that kind of stuff. So, yeah. What'd you think, Ocean?
Well, I was already in, having seen the earlier trailer at the end of the Spider-Man movie. So I was already in on this. I like, you know, I like all of the Marvel movies except Thor: The Dark World. I have a love-hate relationship with that one. But other than that one, which is, you know, I mean, Avengers Endgame tried to fix it. But other than Thor: The Dark World, I think the rest of them, you know, I really enjoy the Marvel movies. I was always going to watch this and be in on it. And I now watch this new phase of the Marvel movies really with the expectation of when's Kang coming, because I want some Kang the Conqueror to show up in these. So they got a great actor to play him. And so, you know, I'm hopeful that they start at the very least sprinkling them in, because, you know, Thanos was only here at a post-credit sequence here or there, or a flash, whatever. But then to try to start saying, hey, Kang is coming, because I think Loki set you up so beautifully for, you know, that Kang is coming, that it's like, well, okay, well then let's start getting to it. But yeah, the movie looks great, interesting, crazy. I expect to be entertained and confused all at the same time when I'm watching it.
Yeah, multiverses are weird.
Yeah, and in terms of consistency, the guy who actually wrote a bunch of Loki episodes is the one who wrote this movie too. So, you know, if they want consistency, well, you get the guy who already has touched on the multiverse stuff. I kind of feel bad for Doctor Strange a little bit, because I don't feel like he's going to get the trilogy that he really deserved, like in the way that like Captain America was just a guy, and then and sort of were brought into the world. I feel like Doctor Strange didn't get to have his you know, growing and changing trilogy, because he got thrown into events so much and then snapped away and all this stuff. This looks fantastic. I can't wait for it. But at the same time, like, oh, I kind of would have liked to seen a Doctor Strange solo movie, you know, like to see him, because where he ends in the first Doctor Strange movie, and the next time we see him, a huge change has happened in him. Like, you know, the next time we see him is when he's in Thor Ragnarok, I think, when he's got the gloves and he's moving Thor around, and you know, and like trapping Loki and falling for half an hour. I mean, all that stuff. Like, whoa, that's not the guy that like could barely handle himself before. You know, like a huge change has happened, and I'm like, oh, I guess we're just never going to get to know what happened in there, except maybe in like a tie-in comic or something. But at the same time, having him as the center of the next event is a really smart move too, and throwing all this other stuff in there is great. Every time they add something, I get more excited.
Yeah, and it also looks like they might even be kind of reverting him back to kind of where he was before, because as I found out in Spider-Man No Way Home, he is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme,
right?
Which is understandable, but you know, he's been demoted, right? So now he's having to fight. His hubris is seemingly coming back, and obviously whatever he's done in No Way Home, I think will influence where his character starts in Multiverse of Madness, and then where it's going to go from there, and just all these other comic book ideas from Marvel that it seems like they are introducing into, you know, just based on 3 frames here and 2 frames there from the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
I actually found that I liked that the way they made him no longer the Sorcerer Supreme, that you know, that it wasn't a slight or something that he lost. It was like, well, you were dead for 5 years, so therefore, you know, someone else gets the job. And then that makes it where you can then lean into the character and allow him to be an egomaniac, because Doctor Strange is an egomaniac. Without there need to be some tinge of, oh, I need to get back what I lost.
Yeah, and any of you people who skipped What If thinking it was side unimportant, turns out it was super important. So before you see Doctor Strange 2, make sure you binge that one too. So, so I think we only have a short time to wait because it's coming out with May 6th. It's be going in theaters, which
exactly.
So that would be super exciting. All right. I was up there next. One of those trailers that I was hoping to see and praying to see. And then I watched the big game and then like, oh, sure, there's football players on it, but everyone shut up. There are elves because my trailer was for the new series from Amazon, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power.
Haven't you ever wondered what else is out there? There's wonders in this world beyond our wandering. I can feel it.
So already the most expensive television series ever made, and this is the first time we've seen any of it. I'm super excited. I also have no idea what's going on. Like my Lord of the Rings fandom is it's wide but not deep. I've read all the books and that was enough for me. But then the Peter Jackson things really opened it up for me. I've watched all the Peter Jackson, all 6 movies. Numerous times. We've watched the behind the scenes things. My wife loves the
those are great.
Peter Jackson does. They're amazing, and we've watched them all the way through multiple times. So like I live and breathe that Peter Jackson-esque world, and now this is sort of adjacent to that because it's not quite from Weta and all those things, but it's still in the same universe. I don't know any of the characters enough to say this is that person. So I was just watching it as the spectacle of going back into Middle Earth and even like pre-Middle Earth, just to have a good time. So I'm super excited about this.
I can't believe, like you said, how much money they're putting into this, and for a streaming show, this is unheard of. But obviously, they know they've got a property that they can bring some eyeballs to. So.
So here's my thing with Lord of the Rings.
Oh boy.
Okay, I will start with the positive part. I saw the original trilogy, and I think they were good movies. However, I felt that each movie was somewhere between 9 to 10 hours long, and I could not stick with the thread. And I realized it in real time midway through, because the first movie felt like forever, and then my wife and I rented the second one, and this is how long ago it was. We rented it, so we rented the second one. And knew going in, had my mind ready. I'm going to watch a long 3-hour movie. Okay, let's go. So I'm watching it, and if you've seen The Lord of the Rings, especially the middle one, which is I think Return of the King is the second one. Is that correct? What's the second?
Two Towers.
Two Towers.
Two
second
Towers,
one, right?
the second
So
one, yeah.
it has about 15 different points of where you think the movie's going to end. And so probably about the second or third one, I was watching it.
About an hour in.
Exactly my point. I was like, oh, that was a good movie. It's been 3 hours. That's nice. Let's just, this is great. I can't wait to see what they do the next one. I looked at my DVD player. Yes, that long ago, DVD player. 54 minutes had passed. And I was like, oh, okay, I see I'm going to age while watching these movies. And so that I watched that one, and the completionist in me, I watched all three of the first trilogy and thought they were all good, and said I'm never watching anything Lord of the Rings again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, having seen this trailer, are you still sticking with that
yes,
pledge, knowing
yes.
this is going to be an episodic series?
Yeah, I find that, it's not that hard. Yes, I am. It's not that hard for me in two ways. That I find that as far as what I enjoy entertainment wise, I don't like fantasy unless it's in space. Because Star Wars is basically fantasy in space. But the regular fantasy shows, fantasy movies, Lord of the Rings, the Harry Potters and all that, it's just not what I enjoy that much. And I really, honestly, Lord of the Rings helped me to that opinion, because I was like, this is amazing. I could tell that it was amazing, and I still was like, well, this just isn't for me.
Okay. All right. Well,
that's
know
great.
Thyself. So.
Yeah.
All right. But something more to your liking, I would assume, is the trailer that you have picked. So tell us about your.
Well, here's what I can tell you about the movie I picked. It is directed by Jordan Peele. And really, at the end of the day, after that, I didn't need to know anything else. And then Daniel Kaluuya is in it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm done. So at that point, I was like, I don't even care what it is, what it's called, what it's about. I'm going to watch it. The name of the movie is Nope.
Did you know that the very first assembly of photographs to create a motion picture was a 2-second clip of a black man on a horse? And that man is my great-great-grandfather.
Great.
There's another great-grandfather. But that's why back at the Haywood Ranch, as the only black-owned horse trainers in Hollywood, we like to say, since the moment pictures could move, we had skin in the game.
What's a bad miracle? They got a word for that.
Yeah, nah. Run!
When I heard that was the name of his next movie, I'm like, okay, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, it does. It does. And so I enjoyed the trailer itself shows some whimsy and life of the kind of whimsy, and sets up a little bit of the story of the main characters. Keke Palmer is shooting a commercial for they train horses to work in movies, and it's really great and cute and everything how they set that up. And then they start to then do what you do with most horror movies, is you start showing some ominous thing is coming, ostensibly from the sky, it's coming from the sky, ostensibly from space, or something is coming, something is bad, and it's going to be a great movie. The trailer really reveals not much of anything other than the word Nope, which I think is a great title for a movie, because that is most most black people's experiences in horror films. They look at what the characters are doing and they're like, nope, not that, not gonna do that. Don't go investigate that sound. Don't go look around the corner. Yeah. Who cares? The cat ran away. Let it go. So so that is so I think the title really actually drew me in just on that alone. But then it's Jordan Peele and Daniel Kaluuya, so I'm gonna watch it. So what do you guys think? So what did you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that is awesome. Ever since I saw Get Out, again, it very similar seeming title to Nope here. I think both of his films work on a really personal level, but also work in his view of as a black filmmaker in reaction to the world that we live in here in the 2010s. And I like horror films that have that extra level of discourse that can go into him. It's, you know, it's not just if you have sex, you're going to die from a guy with a knife who's running through the woods.
Hey, Scream
Put in
is
some
great.
social critique. The original Candyman is really good, and his version, his reboot of Candyman was amazing. So I'm all for this. I'm probably not going to go see it in the theater because that would probably just I'd probably have a heart attack in there, I feel.
You want to be able to pause?
Yeah. I just need to go to the bathroom and hyperventilate for a second. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this too because as far as I'm concerned, like whatever studio wants should just write Jordan Peele a check and then just leave him the hell alone. Like make it like basically, I think Get Out has bought him like the next 10 movies.
Yeah.
Like just do whatever he wants to do. I mean, if you can let M. Night Shyamalan run wild, there's no reason that Jordan Peele shouldn't have the same freedom to do that stuff. We see this trailer and maybe it's aliens, but there's also like a woman with no lips and I don't know, and someone flying through the air. I don't know. And as far as I'm concerned, show me nothing else.
Yeah.
Like that you put out a trailer, you're done. Like nothing until July. Keep running that trailer. Like I don't want anything else.
Should tease.
Yes.
I go back to thinking about what they showed us in. I always use this as a reference of Terminator 2, because Terminator 2 showed you that Schwarzenegger was, you know, the good guy this time around.
Yeah.
But imagine you had never seen the trailer and you didn't know that. When you watch the movie and the way it starts, for the first 20 or 30 minutes, you're thinking that the cop is the good guy and Schwarzenegger's the bad guy. And that's a great setup for the film. Unfortunately, the trailer ruins that if you've seen the trailer. And of course, with trailers online now, you know, you can sit there and go through one frame at a time and you know, see all these things. And, you know, they do put Easter eggs in there for people that want to look for that. But this is a great trailer because it teases, it entices, but it doesn't really give you anything. It gives you a tone. You know that it's a horror film and you know that it's a Jordan Peele film, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can tell you the Terminator 2 thing, it absolutely works because when I showed it to my daughter, I did not let her see the trailer. So we'd seen Terminator, and I just sat down. You know, Cole, we went there. It was luckily it was showing in the big screen. I actually got to take her to the movie theater to see it and show it, and she had no idea
that
there was that kind of twist in there. And like the movie is built as like surprise, like the Terminator's a good guy now, and the fact that the marketing just gave it away. Yeah. But
so Nope is a yep.
Nope, yep, and it is expected to release July 22nd.
So I have put together a small game for us. Last time when Jay, in your first time out,
do me better.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. Like Pete really put you through the ringer with the whole 6 degrees thing, and having I was like I had to be the first listener to that because I was the one that edited it, and I was like right with you. Like I have no idea how to do this. Like my brain does not work that way. I can't do the 6 degrees.
I was trying not to cheat in any way, you know, because it just I haven't practiced anything like that for a long time. So
you have that brain?
I have the opposite reaction. Yes, I was linking them all together and everything, and then there was some link thing where you guys missed like the other guys has Samuel L. Jackson in it, and I was just yelling about that Sam Jackson's in that movie.
So the game I have we're going to play a couple rounds of Geek Out. So Geek Out is actually a game that I'm not going to be asking you trivia questions. It's going to be by what you already know. So it is both a nerdy thing and also a social engineering kind of thing, because the idea is I'll give you an example here. So I will say, let's say it's to Jay. I will say, can you name 4 fictional weapons that use laser technology? And it can be from any movie, television, whatever thing you want. I mean, obviously,
laser.
Podcast, so laser. Yeah, exactly. So then the thing is, can you come up with 4 of them? And you can say either yes or you can pass it, and then Ocean has to. But then if you can come up with 4, then Ocean, can you come up with 5? Oh. And Jay can come up with 6, and so you can go back and forth. And then when it comes up, then you can say, all right, then name it. Then you have to actually go through and name all those. And then if you're playing it, this is really a great game in a room full of people, because then the audience becomes the judges and go, actually, he's an android, not a robot, like that kind of stuff. So in this, I'll be playing judge for this, and I'll be like,
this is a name that tune sort of thing, Ocean. That's great.
That. Yeah,
it's a little bit because it's by what you know. So we're gonna go off the thing. So we're gonna do a couple rounds of this and then see how we do. So we'll use that one as an example. But
all right,
wow, I was going to count laser.
Okay, so this actually, this should be fairly easy. So, Ocean, can you name 4 superheroes with a spider theme?
4.
Can you name 4? No, you don't name them now, but say, can you name
right.
Can you name 4?
Oh, yes, I can name 4.
All right,
yes.
Jay, can you name 5?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Ocean,
a little
6.
too confident. You know what? You go ahead. Name 5.
Okay, name 5.
All right. So you've got Spider-Man, obviously.
Sure.
You've got Spider-Woman. You've got Spider-Gwen, the Gwen Stacy from the alternate universe. Spider-Ham, the pig, and let's go with Spider-Punk. He's got a new miniseries coming out in a couple months here.
I'm not familiar with Spider-Punk. What is that?
Yeah.
What is that one from?
He is. He doesn't like being called Spider-Punk.
He'll show up in the movie.
Yeah, he's. I think he's going to show up in the next film. But he's he looks like a anarchist from the 1980s from the UK with like a mohawk and studded
ripped sleeve
Levi's jacket.
Yeah. No, that's where. Because I was with you in the 4, and then we said 5. I was like, "There's a 5th." I was like, "Are we counting Venom?"
I say Venom would have been a spider. Yeah. Okay, so then, all right, so Jay gets that point. All right, so then we'll go back and forth. Okay, so Jay, can you name 4 fictional pirates?
4 fictional pirates. Yes, I believe I could.
Okay, Ocean, can you name 5?
I like how you said fictional pirates, so
yes,
now I have to think of the pirate names I know.
Blackbeard doesn't count.
Are these real people? So, no. So go name 4.
All right. So we've got Captain Jack Sparrow. Mm-hmm. We've got Yellowbeard.
Good pull.
Classic 80s film with the Monty Python gang. Mm-hmm. We've got Space Pirate Harlock.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And now I'm going to forget this.
Is it 3?
Is Davy Jones considered fictional?
Davy Jones. That's borderline. I think there was an actual Davy Jones.
Yeah, he was in the Monkey.
Not the Monkey.
Yeah, they don't have to be from different franchises. That is not a thing. So you can name someone else from, that would have sailed with any of those people if they're considered pirates.
I'm totally blanking on the guy from Treasure Island. So.
All right. Time's running out. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So Ocean gets that point. I would say, I think, was Long John Silver what you were going for?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
All I could think of was Blackbeard there because I just saw the Our Flag Means Death trailer.
That's right. Another Taika Waititi joint. All right. Ooh, this could be interesting. All right. Let's see. Where were we at? I think it's Ocean. Right? Yeah. All right. Ocean, can you name 4 Tim Burton films?
4 Tim Burton films. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Jay, can you do 5?
Yes, I can do 5.
Okay. Ocean, 6.
Hang on, let me think this through if I can get to 6. I was good with 4 and 5, and so then once you said 6, I was like, can I get to 6? Tim Burton film.
So I will say my only caveat will be directed by, not produced by, because he has a couple of producing credits too.
Yeah, I can get to 6.
You get 6, okay. Jay, can you do 7?
Name those films.
Okay. Oh, there you go. All right, Ocean, give us 6.
Okay, so I guess we'll start with Batman '89, and then we'll start with what for many years was my favorite Christmas movie, Batman Returns. And then Edward Scissorhands. Yeah, the plural's on the hands.
You got it.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, yeah, Edward Scissorhands. Is it The Nightmare Before Christmas?
That is actually not a Tim Burton film.
It is produced by him, but not directed by him.
but not directed by him.
Oh, he didn't direct
I
that?
thought might come up. He did
No,
not
it
direct
was
that. Based on he wrote
Henry
that.
Selick.
This is why I wanted to specify, because I thought that one might come up.
My chances are getting lower now. All right,
Yeah, so
so
you got
I have
three.
3 more to go, and you took away
more
the
to go.
Nightmare one that I was enjoying. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the Johnny Depp one. So that puts me to 4.
Yep, that's your 4.
Okay, so
Get on the camera here. 4.
all right,
2 more.
2 more. So then did he do Crybaby?
No,
That was
That
wasn't
was
him?
John Waters.
That
That was
was John
John
Waters,
Okay, yeah, that wasn't him.
That was Johnny Depp. But
Yes, it was Johnny Depp. Yeah, yeah.
if Johnny Depp doesn't have face paint, it's not him in a Tim Burton.
Okay.
Simple rule.
See, I thought I had 5, and I was just going to come up with the 6th one and the
I know you have
5.
4.
Okay, another Tim Burton movie. They never made Superman Lives, but they should have. So since
But
that
it
movie
doesn't
should have
count.
been made, I think it should count.
Only things that exist.
Yes, because it should have happened. Yeah. All right. He didn't do Dick Tracy, did he?
If you can't.
He did not do Dick
Okay,
Tracy.
then I'm tapped out.
So, all right.
Yeah.
So
Jay, can you steal?
Can you do 2 more Tim Burton movies? Can you
Yeah,
steal the
Pee-wee's
point?
Big Adventure
Okay.
and Big Fish.
Nice.
Well, now that you say it, I
also-
totally know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right. You could also said the really terrible Planet of the Apes movie. He did that one. too.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that. Because I couldn't remember if he had done Mars Attacks. I think he had.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah,
do Mars
yeah,
Attacks.
he did. Yeah. Now that I'm not being asked, I totally remember all these movies. Yeah,
Exactly.
He absolutely did.
Oh, I know this. No pressure.
You don't have the hot seat. Yeah. All right. All right.
And name
Jay.
Star Wars films, right? Is that one of those?
Name 3 Star Wars, but no. Name this could be this could bid up high. We'll see how it goes. Can you name 2 comic book characters with beards? And by that I mean the thing that's on the face, a beard.
Nice.
Comic book characters with
There are
beards.
multiple meanings. So
Sure. I'm sure I can
Okay.
figure out
You
that.
go up with 2. Okay. Ocean,
Yeah.
can you go with 3?
Who'd have thought? I never given that much thought. You're right. Beards are not that common on comic book characters. Yeah, I can come up with 3.
Okay. Jay, 4.
Yeah, beards. There's some have mustaches, right? But do they also
True.
have beards?
Right.
And do you count?
Yeah,
what do you
this is where
count?
it gets
Yeah,
interesting.
What do you? I'm having the same conversation. in my
So
head.
I would say, I'll just, because we just talked about him, I will say Doctor Strange, I would say, does not have a beard. I would say he has
Has
a
a goatee?
goatee.
Oh.
All right. Well, then I'm gonna
Wait,
say.
So I go by, it has to have this stuff on the.
Oh, you're not counting
On the
You're not
cheeks,
counting the goat.
but there's some that have stuff on the cheeks, but not on the chin.
Right, and so that's a different thing. That's
Yeah.
that's
All right, Ocean,
chops.
go ahead, because I think
Well, I think
technically he
knocked
just
out 2
removed
of the
one
guys I was
from my
going to pick
list.
there.
Well, I would say they don't have to have the mustache, but I would say they have to have, because there's people who need the chin strap, I guess they call it.
Okay, so Thor.
Yes.
Yeah,
True.
Thor regularly grows it out. And you just said comic book characters, correct?
Yes, comic book characters.
Okay. With beards. And so obviously the goatee doesn't work. The Wolverine's mutton chops are out. Right? Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, because I wanted to make sure. I was just going to verify that we were both talking about the same thing, which was like, well, when I was listing out my 3, that's where I was.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right.
Yeah. He eliminated Green Arrow by saying
Right, because
goatee.
Green Arrow has a little
I
deal.
would.
Yeah.
He's got a
So
he's got a
you guys
Van
are helping
Dyke.
each other. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I would say, yeah, true. It recently has.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he has it where it comes out some here. And then Vandal Savage
Yeah.
has had it from time to time, but I don't know. Remember if his were? Did Vandal Savage have the full?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, Vandal Savage went
Yeah,
for him.
I think in various incarnations.
That's
yes,
a good
I
one,
think so.
yeah.
And even in Legends of Tomorrow, he had a full beard, if I remember right.
Okay.
So yes, I would say Vandal Savage.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's 2
Thor
so
and Vandal
far.
Savage, what?
So then the most superheroes don't because that wrecks their secret identity. Yes.
I'll go on a limb and say this is probably the first time Vandal Savage has been mentioned on this podcast.
Yes. Very well might be. Okay. Okay, I have a third. I haven't pictured in my head. And now I just have to remember what his name is. Because I can describe him. And I can describe him and tell you what he is, but then just picture. So then, are you, does Beast count with what he does?
No, I would say not, because that's
I wrote Beast right there.
Yeah, so Beast doesn't count.
I would not say. I would say, if you're going to say Beast does, then you would say Tigra did too. So I mean, that doesn't really.
Well, yeah, then I could count Cheetah.
That's just fun. That's just hair from head to toe. Right? Exactly.
Okay, so that means I can't count Rocket. So that would be no, he's out. All right, so. In the comics, okay, let me get off that guy that I can picture but not name. All right, okay. How am I stopping at 2? Seriously, how is this happening?
It's that hot seat.
It is. How is it stopping at 2? Because Magneto never had one. Did Magneto ever have one? Did he ever go one out? No, he didn't, did he?
I don't think so.
And then,
I mean, obviously, I would say people can probably in this one issue.
But not
he got trapped under the Wolverine got trapped under the ice, and so he grew up.
That doesn't
but traditional look, who is rocked.
Right,
they rocked.
Yeah, and he has to stick with it for a while. It doesn't count if it's just in one.
Yeah, exactly.
Obscure episode.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm sure you could find Peter Parker at some point had a beard.
Right, but who would remember that?
All right, exactly.
Yeah, I am starting to.
Yeah, I think
time's up. Yeah.
All right. So Jay, can you give me one?
Niles Calder from the Chief from Doom Patrol.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll do one more.
That was tough. That was.
It doesn't sound like a tough question when you first say it either. Then you start rattling through all of them, and it's like, they don't have beards.
After the laser thing, it's like, these are not a problem.
The laser. Okay. All right. For our last one, because it's coming out pretty soon, let's talk about Batman. All right. So let's see. We're into. Where are we at? So is this to Jay?
Ocean.
I think it's
Ocean. Okay. I went back and forth. I can't remember what it is. Okay. So Ocean, can you name 2 Batman love interests?
Name them?
And my caveat to this would be, yes, can you name them? Can you name 2? And I would say this would be romantic love. So I he has affection for the Robins, but I would not say that this is a love interest. It's just, as we're drawing lines, those are the lines I would draw. Can you name 2 Batman love interests? And you mentioned 2 movies earlier on in this very conversation.
Yeah. Okay. So then, yes. I can name 2.
Name 2. Okay. Jay, can you name 3?
I've got 2. Can I think of a third one?
Well, there have been, there have been a fair amount of movies. There have been, 6 Batman movies? 7?
Yeah, but the Christian Bale didn't.
Didn't he?
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think I can get a third one out of that.
You can't get 3?
So I'm going to go ahead and let Ocean try this here.
Okay. Ocean, can you name 2 Batman love interests?
Yes, Selena Kyle and Vicky Vale.
Okay.
I'll just start with those. Those are the same 2 movies, and then.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Yeah.
So
and then there's
no Dr. Chase
Meridian, Rachel Dawes, because her name was Rachel Dawes.
Rachel Dawes.
And then that's why because I didn't remember Cindy Crawford's character's name in Batman and Robin. In Batman and Robin, George Clooney dating Cindy Crawford.
All right, so in 5 rounds, then our winner is Jay. 3 points.
Congratulations, Jay.
2.
Thank you.
So there you go. That was a little bit of geek out. So thank you for that. This is one of my favorite games. I never get to play it. So
that's awesome. That's a pretty cool game.
Yeah, and it's way harder than it sounds when you're talking about it.
Yeah, well, I played it in a room full of 50 nerds, and it was great because we got to these big the robot thing that there was a whole conversation about what's a robot, and what's an android. So both sides of the room were like, da, da, da. I was like, this is amazing.
But that's a cyborg.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Because you get into these really minutiae conversations. I don't think he was actually dead at the time that happened. It's weird where to draw the lines and stuff too. So, all right, both of you sit there awkwardly while I take care of some business. So you're saying to yourself, I've had a swell time listening to your weird game, but how can I get involved and also help keep this madness flowing into my ear holes? Well, that's quite simple. Just go to nextreel.com/membership and sign up. For it, most $5 a month, you can watch live streams as we record, get early access to new episodes of your shows in your very own private podcast feed, plus super secret member channels on Discord. And because enough is never enough, and you've been so patient listening through all this self-promotion, we've got a special offer for you, diligent listener. If you go to nextreel.com/letterbox, you can upgrade your Letterboxd account to Pro or Patron with a 20% off discount. But host whose name I've forgotten, I already have a Letterboxd account. First off, it's okay, I forgot my name. And secondly, you're in luck. The discount also works for renewals. Give a little, get a little. It's the only way 2022 is going to work correctly. But now it's time for the Rob Cabasco Memorial List Challenge. So last week we were challenged by the previous hosts to come up with activities that should be Olympic events. That should be Olympic events. So, Jay, you got in there first with the trailer, so you have a first one. What should be an Olympic event?
So, this is broad, but also, you could find niche things to bring to this. And, since the Olympics are still going on, the Winter Olympics right now, I didn't come up with any specific Winter Olympic things, but this first one is an American originated sport, born and bred here. It's not as challenging as it might seem originally, and that is dancing with wolves.
If there's dancing in water and dancing on ice, why not dancing with wolves?
Exactly. Yeah.
I like it. All right. So my next one. So there's a lot of different events that go along that involve putting heavy things in different places. So there's there's the shot put, taking a heavy ball. There's the hammer, all that stuff. My thing is there is a movie that involved moving a heavy thing and putting it in a very specific location. And that was when they dropped a tank out of a plane and had to fly the tank so it would hit the water and not kill them all. So I'm choosing the A-Team. So my category is weight dropping.
Thought you were going for Furious 6 or 7 or 8.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Wow.
Before anyone got Fast or Furious, the A-Team was there.
Wow. You
I love it when a
guys,
plan comes
yeah,
together.
you know what? I am impressed with your guys' ability to come up with these things. I was really closer to let me just find an actual activity because I found that I needed to picture teams of people playing it or groups or something playing against each other. And your guys' are better than mine. But I'm going to start with what is, I think, the worst activity that I've chosen and the worst movie. So,
okay.
Good.
That's what I'm going to start.
I'm excited.
So, and the name of the game is in the title. But first, let me tell you about the rules of the game. So this game is played by two teams over 3 20-minute periods for an hour total game time. Each team has 12 players, 9 skaters, and 3 bikers riding motorcycles. The skaters hang on to the motorbikes in order to gain or regain momentum. Then a steel ball is shot into a circular arena with 2 zones, outer and inner. The sidelines for both games are in the arena center. The first team to recover the ball before it strays into the central gutter goes on offense and attempts to score a point by placing the ball in the opposing team's goal at one side of the stadium. The defensive team protects their goal while attempting to steal the ball. And to keep it interesting, the ball must be held in plain view at all times. Otherwise, it is declared dead, and a new ball is fired. And likewise, if the ball strays in the gutter before the team recovers it, the ball dies and a new one must be fired. So this convoluted game that does include roller skating and motorcycles is rollerball.
Yeah.
Excellent. I was going to say that, and I was like, that just seems too easy. I'm sure someone's going to get that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well played.
Are you going for the original rollerball or the remake?
I'm going to go for the remake because that's the one I saw. I like my rollerball with Chris Klein and LL Cool J representing Team USA. So
Ladies love Cool James.
Ladies love Cool, that's right.
We can all agree on that.
Well, in a similar vein, I also was looking at something that was a combination of other sports. You know, you see that a lot in the Summer Olympics, right? They've got the decathlon where they take 10 separate events and kind of combine it and see who is the best well-rounded athlete. So, of course, using that, I had to choose the ITC Running Man competition, where an individual is pitted against various gladiators with weapons, and he has to survive in the bombed-out ruins of Los Angeles while searching for the way to get into the center of the grid.
Wow. I like it. Already we've picked two things that make the Olympics more exciting. I'm telling you, this is going to draw some ratings.
That's right. More chainsaws. That's really what the message is. Actually, Ocean, when you started describing your game, I was like, is this Running Man? And then, no. And and then Jay brought up Running Man. All right. So, so my next one. So there already is a sword fighting in the Olympics. It's fencing, and it's kind of boring. Like, they have the, basically it's very thin swords get back and forth. There's a buzzer when something goes off. Yeah, that's fine and well and good. But what if you added a third person and made it so you can be anywhere? So I'm saying synchronized sword fighting, as simplified in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and the three-way duel. True? That they had in that one. Why not? And you can add in, you can decide if you want to have the water wheel in it or not.
My next event, I think I'll just let me tell you a story about a truck driver named Lincoln Hawk. His estranged wife, Christina, is suffering from heart disease and asks Hawk to pick up their young son from military school and develop a relationship with him before she dies. He picks up his son, and they do bond and reconcile on a trip from Colorado to California. But Christina dies before they get to her, and his son blames him. Angry, Michael leaves to live with his grandfather. Heartbroken and crestfallen, Lincoln goes to Las Vegas to compete in the World Championships in the sport that he loves. And while competing, Michael finds him, comes back, apologizes to Lincoln for misjudging him, and gives our hero in the story the inspiration to win the World Championship in mine and your next favorite Olympic sport, arm wrestling.
When I turn my head, it's like flipping a switch.
The winner takes all in that.
Exactly, yeah. So, the movie's Over the Top.
Over the Top.
Over the Top.
No, that's the name of the movie.
Yeah,
it's not really over the top.
Yeah.
Well, it is kind of over the top.
It's over the. That is the name and the tone of the movie. It is over the top.
Yeah, true.
I know I said I didn't have a specific winter sport, but this next one, it does take place during the Christmas season, and it's one that has a lot of high technical expertise that is required to perform it properly. And the people that end up getting the highest marks in this particular sport, unfortunately, usually are not able to come back to compete in the following year, as you will understand. And that is because this is the Nakatomi 200-meter platform dive, as seen in Die Hard.
Do you have to start by holding onto a watch, and then
you actually have to start the time and then let go. Yeah, yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon!
All right. So I think one thing that most people agree on is the Olympics are way too focused on physicality. It's way too much about like how strong, how fast are they. I think really a more important skill that we should be celebrating is, can you keep your cool? Like, if you're sitting at a table and if the people knew who you around the table who knew who you really were, they would kill you in a second. And then you have to keep your cool. But then when the guy who murdered your family shows up and sits at the table too, it takes it to a whole nother level. I think that takes an Olympic level of discipline to not completely freak out, as exemplified in Inglourious Bastards.
Nice.
Yes, but you have to try the cream.
That's right.
The cream makes the dessert. You wait for the cream. Man, he was great in that.
All right, Ocean, what is take us home? What's your last one?
Again, the sports that I found, or the things that I think that should be events, I find through wonderful stories. And this story is about Danny and Wheeler. Danny and Wheeler are energy drink salesmen, and they are immature, young, and they make a small bad decision, like who hasn't driven their truck over some various statues at a local high school? And so after this amount of property damage and mayhem and a little bit of disorderly conduct, instead of being sentenced to jail, the system decides we're going to turn these young men's life around and sentence them to community service as big brothers. And so through that process of becoming a big brother, they meet their little brothers and they find themselves through this process of trying to mentor young other children, growing and maturing as human beings. And during that journey, Danny discovers through his little brother the fantastic wonders, dare I say ecstatic joys, of the next event to be announced in the 2024 Olympic Games, LARPing. That is live action role play for the uninitiated. And then the movie is Role Models. Stars Paul Rudd and Sean William Scott and Christopher Mintz-Please, Jane Lynch, Elizabeth Banks, Ken Jeong. It's a lot of funny in there. So it's a very humorous movie.
I've forgotten all about that.
There's a whole huge sequence with LARPing. So yeah.
I like it, LARPing.
I spoke with Josh, who suggested this, and we did not mention the film that kind of gave him the idea, which was Harry Potter with Quidditch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I did not pick that because I actually told my wife Kyle will pick Harry Potter because of Quidditch.
I like Harry Potter. I'm a Harry Potter fan, but Quidditch just puts me to sleep every single time.
I think LARPing is going to come back after it debuted here in Role Models. I mean, in Hawkeye, they're doing lots of LARPing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
and if you want to see LARPing with some supernatural bits, watch Knights of Badassdom. That's a fun movie.
Okay.
Yeah, where they actually summon an actual demon at a LARPing convention.
Nice.
So they actually have to fight it for real. That was good. All right, so there we go. There was our Rob Kowalski Memorial List Challenge. Did you guys have any alternates? I had none. It was all I took just to get my 3.
My list was so obscure. I just had one just as a fallback, and I was going to use Warrior and just do mixed martial arts. Because war. Yeah, that's a Hardy. Tom Hardy. Yeah, Tom Hardy movie.
Yeah, my only other alternate was Nantucket yacht racing as seen in One Crazy Summer, but also as seen in Summer Rental or Captain Ron.
Wow, you could have had a list of 3 right there.
Yeah.
All right, so then now our challenge is to how to come up with the next challenge. So let's see. Next week is going to be Amanda Kaplan and Rob Cabasco and Josh. So what do you think we should inflict on them?
So my idea is comic book films that are not superheroes.
Interesting.
Yes, Mandy will hate that. I mean,
I know. I was just thinking that Mandy's going to hate that.
Mandy's going to hate that. Yes.
And she's hosting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
She take it away.
I'm sorry in advance.
I have. Oh, I'm not sorry. I have really no other ideas. Yes.
Comic book movies,
not about
superheroes.
Right.
Okay.
Because I think there are enough that you can come up with 9.
Yeah,
but there's not
I thought
so
it was 2
many
or 3 right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I can think of a few as well. So that
and maybe some stealing involved.
This didn't come up and geek out.
So. I just didn't get to that card. I was just flipping through. All right, so then I guess let's talk about what else you guys are working on. So Jay, when's the next time we can hear your lovely voice on a podcast?
You can find me pretty much all the time at retrozap.com. I've got a several podcasts over there, including Superhero Suite, where we talk about all things superhero related. We just did an episode on Black History Month, Black superheroes and Black History Month. And then our next one is going to be talking about the 10th anniversary of Flashpoint.
Oh, wow.
We've also got after shows, including Scarlet Velocity, a Flash podcast, which will be back in early March when The Flash returns from its long hiatus here. You can also find Green Justice, an Arrow podcast, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Case Files. And then there's also a weekly series that Josh and I do called Enjoy Stuff, where we find the fun in everything, just talking about pop culture and techno retro related sort of things there. I also have some articles that I write called Sci-Fi Saturdays that show up every Saturday, which are iconic and fun looks at films from the 1950s to the present. I'm currently working through Back to the Future 2 and 3. So I'm in 1989, nice. 1990. And you can also find me at Marvel, or find out about my Marvel Cinematic Universe filming locations, an exhaustive list of all the different filming locations at mculocationscout.com.
And I can personally attest to the quality of that site because we used it extensively during Marvel Movie Minute. So thank you for all your hard work. It made figuring out where they shot stuff for Hulk and for Iron Man 2 so much easier.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's been pretty fun and also frustrating. But when I find on some weird location just on accident, it's such an endorphin rush. So
if only we could figure out where that hotel was from Incredible Hulk. It drove me crazy.
Yeah. I'm looking for Betty Ross's house, which is somewhere in Toronto. Yeah. Finding houses is so difficult because, of course, people don't want to tell you.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because they've seen what happened to the house from Halloween.
Yes.
They don't want to be in that situation again.
Yeah.
So,
but
oddly enough, the Nightmare on Elm Street home just sold for like $4 million. So, there's
as long as what happens isn't like what happened in the home in Scream 5 when they bought the original house and then they said, hey, let's just do some murdering. So
pluses and minuses. Real estate, it's a killer market. So, Ocean, what's next up for you?
Next up for me is the next week we're gonna with JJ and Pete will be kicking off the new Film Board episode. We're going to discuss the movie Uncharted. And talk about how wonderful and amazing that movie will be, because that is 100% what I'm expecting. And yes, and then the following month we'll be hosting again in March. The opening weekend of the movie we'll be having a show on the Batman, and I will be having a mystery host with me that week.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'll tease you with that later.
Well, say, you were talking before about how you looked down and saw, oh my gosh, this Lord of the Rings film is 3 hours. Ooh, I've got some bad news for you about the Batman.
Yeah, but it's 3 hours of Batman. I want Batman in every movie. Anytime I see a Batman
movie. Just as long as you know where the bounds of your hypocrisy are. I just want to make sure that those are rigidly defined.
It wasn't the length. It was the length combined with the pace. I was just like, couldn't deal. So yeah, no. But any movie that is not good, when any movie I don't like, I always look at afterwards and go, you know what this movie needed? Batman. So just throw Batman in there. Batman would have fixed all of this.
As for me, our new show has just launched. So Rob and I's new show, 10 Random Things, is now airing weekly. So we are on Wednesdays here on the Next Reel YouTube page. You can find us on there. And then we pull the audio and then have a podcast about that too. The premise of the show is that we don't know what the show is going to be about. I bring 5 things to show off and talk about. Rob brings 5 things, and neither of us know what the other one's going to be. So we don't know where it's going to go. We don't know what we're going to talk about. It goes for about an hour. We've done a couple of them now. We did a couple that have not aired as tests, so we have some lost episodes that we can do. But then, so every Wednesday, 5 o'clock Arizona time, we're live. If not, it stays up on the page, so you can go watch it at your leisure. We're having a ton of fun with that too. And if you're a Star Wars fan, we get hands-on with the Razor Crest in the latest episode. So check that out, and you can see us actually, handling this amazing toy. All right. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming along and letting me geek out with you. And so we will bid adieu to the rest of the thing. And everybody have a wonderful Saturday. And go do something nice for yourself.